Welcome to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast with Darren Mitchell. If you're a sales leader looking to take your leadership to a whole new level, then this is the podcast for you. We'll be exploring tips, techniques, and strategies to help you take your leadership to the exceptional level and allow you to enjoy more money, more meaning, and better sales results. Welcome back to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast, and a very special welcome to a lady who, where I am in Melbourne, she's going to be celebrating her 22nd wedding anniversary, which she's just shared with me. She's also just come off the back of a trip to Africa to celebrate a significant birthday milestone. So I'm not necessarily going to indicate what number that was. And more importantly, she's coming from Northern Virginia. She's the CEO of Sales Uprising. We're going to talk all things sales and sales leadership. She's also known as the Sales Catalyst. Welcome to the podcast, Katie Nielsen. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Darren. I'm thrilled to be here, and I appreciate you not outing me. Let the people guess what big birthday it is. I like that.
That's it. And people wouldn't even be able to understand that or even guess if they're watching this on YouTube, which eventually there will be YouTube, right? So it's all good. But they might get a little bit of an indication if they do the maths around 22 years being married.
Well, great. Give them all the answers, Darren.
But depends.
Nice.
What's the legal age in Virginia for marriage?
I don't know. I didn't get married in Virginia. I got married in Hawaii, but I met him in Arizona. You all can go figure that out.
There you go. Wow. Okay.
Oh, no.
There you go. Well, we're not going to talk about marriage, although there's probably a lot of stories we could tell around marriage and linking that to sales and sales leadership, because at some stage one of you got sold.
Right. There was a lot of negotiation happening.
That's it. What I'd love to know, Katie, and you and I have spent probably 20 minutes just having a great conversation, which, by the way, I should have been recording.
Well, maybe we'll get to it. Maybe they won't. Maybe it'll be a part 2.
Maybe. But I was also encouraging you to maybe set up your own podcast. But then you were telling me, well, I'm about to become a franchise owner. I'm a business coach. I do a lot of sales stuff. I'm in the middle of writing a book. There's just enough time in the day.
And we'd also discussed that I do a business planning retreat around this time every year. And I just got off the tail end of it on Saturday. I just got back home. And what we would say in that retreat is, currently, Darren, a podcast is not the priority.
Not the priority.
On the list, but not the priority.
It's not a big rock, that's for sure. Maybe it's a pebble.
Exactly.
Or a grain of sand. So, Katie, let's delve into this. I'd love to know, always like to delve in with my guests, a little bit of background, because people have lots of different backgrounds, and some come from backgrounds which you think, wow, you've ended up doing this, but you started there. Where did it all start for you, and what has sort of led you down the path to do what you do today with Sales Uprising?
Well, my path was relatively linear. My first legal job in Arizona, the legal age to have a job is 15 and a half. Marriage, I don't know. Jobs, I know. Was in a call center.
Okay.
And it all started because I was the third oldest of 4 kids, and I wanted to have my own money. Like, I didn't want to have to ask my parents for money to go to a movie. So I decided that instead of doing that, the more brilliant idea would be to sell them on the fact that I needed a job in high school. And my parents were not about it. Let me just tell you, they were not excited about this idea at all. They were like, no, your whole job is school. And I said, okay, well, so as long as I do my extracurriculars okay, and I have good grades, like, can I still do this? Like, can I at least prove I can do this?
Yeah.
So the job was halfway between my house and my high school. I'd some days walk to my job and some days I'd walk home. It was only a part-time job, but that's how I got started in sales.
Nice.
And I've been in a sales position the majority of my career, having sold over $150 million, mostly services, but also in products.
Mm-hmm.
And then that turned into owning 3 businesses, not consecutively.
and doing what you do today, working with service-based businesses, entrepreneurs, and so forth, and the business sales uprising. How did that, I guess, come to be? And I nearly said, how did that manifest? Because you would have manifested it, but how did it come to be? And what do you specialize in? Because I know part of the conversation today maybe we might talk about niching.
I love niching. Um, so I had owned two separate businesses previously with co-owners, and that business happened to be in professional services and staffing, traditionally for the federal government. I'm here in the Northern Virginia area, so that's a very large target market. So
Yeah.
we provided professional services and IT staff for those contracts. I was always the sales arm of those companies, the vice president of sales, the business development executive. I mean, basically any name other than salesperson. But that was what I did for those two companies. I'd done that previously. And after owning those two businesses and having the opportunity to decide, like, is this what I want to do with the rest of my life? And going through a very famous Simon Sinek why exercise, I came to the realization that if I took a look at my life, both my parents that I grew up around my dinner table with were business owners.
Okay.
And the conversations that we had there were not fun. No
Mm,
offense. Although, if there are any entrepreneurs or CEOs on this listening to this, they'll understand, like, yeah, some of it is just not fun. Like,
yeah.
you know, are we going to be able to pay our contractors? Are we, what's going to happen if this gets outsourced elsewhere? These were the conversations that we would have at my dinner table for both of my parents' businesses.
Mm.
And I think I kind of went into sales because I thought, ooh, you know, all these business owners need is a really great, amazing salesperson to get what they want to put forward. And then they'll never have a worry in their life. I mean, doesn't that make sense from the brain of a 10-year-old?
Well, it does make sense, and it's a very easy solution. But what did you find as that progressed? Because here's the thing: nothing happens until a sale is made, and we know this, right? So every organization, irrespective of whether they're in a government enterprise, they still have to sell because they're selling ideas, they're selling other people, they're selling contractors. They're not necessarily selling a product, but nothing happens until a sale is made. How did that sort
Preach,
of shape you as
preach
through
it.
your years?
You are right. So, how I came to, when I first went into this business, everybody said, Katie, you are a sales coach. You're a sales coach. And that could be, yes, I do sales coaching. The name of my company is Sales Uprising. Believe it or not, we focus on things like your target market, also known as your niche or your niche, depending on how you say it. But I have a real passion to work with the smallest business owners, just like my parents, so
Yeah.
that they can come to an understanding and a love of what sales is. How many business owners have you seen absolutely hate the sales function of their business? And that's not a winning proposition for anyone. So let's bridge the gap between I hate this, I feel salesy. I know you just threw up in your mouth a little bit. No salesperson I know likes the word salesy. It's not even a word. Icky, gross, oogie. Like how people describe this business function is wild to
Mm,
me.
mm,
And so that is what I'm looking to overcome specifically so that Main Street America or small business around the world can function beautifully and
yeah.
without all of those feelings.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I often ask sales teams and salespeople and who've been in the industry for a long time, and I'll ask the direct question, who loves to be sold? Who loves to be sold to? And it's very rare that somebody puts their hand up and says, yeah, I love this, but everybody likes to buy. And when you look at small businesses and entrepreneurial businesses, often it's the founder who is the best salesperson, but they don't necessarily think of themselves as the salesperson. So as soon as you mention the word sales, they get all cringy and think, "Oh my God, I've got to force stuff on other people." No, no, you've got something that is of value to the marketplace, and you'd be doing them a disservice if you didn't share that with the marketplace.
And so, which is a trope I hear often, and I don't disagree. There's also the concept of, do you, so you know who I am, person who's talking to me, right? I own a company called Sales Uprising. Do you think that I wake up in the morning and think, oh, I can't wait to push some crap on people today? That's going to be amazing. Like, who do you know has ever had that thought ever? So if you take the thought of like what you think of sales and run it back and look at it just a little, just 1% differently in the kaleidoscope, the
Yeah.
perspective change is massive and can generate you lots and lots of zeros.
Yeah. So if we were to ask, if I was to ask you then, have you got an overarching philosophy on sales? If somebody asked you, hey, Katie, so with Sales Uprising, if you were doing a keynote or you were doing a pitch to a an entrepreneur, and they're saying, why would we work with you and what's your philosophy around sales? What would you say to them?
I would say you should not work with me unless you want a relationship with me. Don't. Um, because for me, relationship is key to the whole thing. And we can make it as trite or as true as know, like, and trust,
Yeah,
or you can make it as deep as you want. When you're talking about, what happens in sales? Sales is where the rubber meets the road, I think is the saying.
yeah,
It's the truest function of any business.
mm,
It's the most honest function of any
mm,
business. And I think that only salespeople really get that. I've worked for $360 million subsidiary of a $12.8 billion privately held company in my life.
yeah,
And when I sold for them, I had to sell against marketing, if that makes sense,
yeah.
or at least show where the lipstick part of the pig was to make the deal. If this makes sense, right?
Yep.
It's marketing's job to make us all look like pageant queens.
Mm,
Honestly, it's marketing's job to make us look good, and we want them to so badly. So let them do that. But in a sales function, you have to be understanding and want to connect with another human being that needs what you have. And
yeah.
in an effort to do that, it's all about relationship.
It is. It is. And marketing helps to build awareness and
Yeah.
maybe some credibility in the marketplace. But ultimately, if and it might sound trite, this the know, like, and trust, but also remember, and that's where the relationship comes in. That if I build a relationship with you, because I also want to talk about the instant gratification that a lot of business owners have, and why aren't we getting? Because everyone needs their product. We'll talk about that in a second. But you've got to build a relationship and you've got to build some credibility in the marketplace and know that not every customer in your ideal customer profile niche is going to be ready to make a buying decision today. So you've got to build a relationship. And in fact, research has said that a lot of the companies that you're going to do business with are going to do a lot of research, and you might have a reasonable number of contacts before any deal is going to be done.
I think for the past, I don't know, 10 years, the overriding statistic is 7 to 12 touches, right?
Mm,
Points of contact before someone's really ready to dig in with you.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And what they don't talk about is what types of touches those are, right? So if
mm,
you and I can get on a Zoom for 30 minutes for a deep connection call or an
yeah,
understanding call or whatever the case is, a discovery call, like whatever you term it,
mm,
then our relationship may not need, say, 3 or 4 of those touches
yeah,
because we've come so far.
yeah.
If you're using marketing and automation as a way to make some of those touches, it will automatically take more of them.
Yeah, because it's more, I don't know, it's more tactical, it's more
It's more
maybe
two-dimensional.
proactive. Yeah, yeah.
It's a 2D is a hard way to sell, man. You
Well,
know,
it is. It is.
yeah.
And this is the other thing because often people get fear of rejection and think, oh, hang on, I've got the best product. So why doesn't everybody want my product? They should be lining up around the corner. And this is where the sales and marketing question becomes really interesting. I've worked for some big corporates here in Australia where the people in the marketing department actually believed that the company didn't need salespeople because the marketing strength, we just have to put a marketing campaign together, put it out to the marketplace, and we'll have customers falling over themselves to want to buy our products.
Okay, so here's the thing. If it's a product scenario, if that's a lower dollar value ask, then maybe a buy here button is great. Amazon
Mm,
made a whole living off of that. That could be a thing. But then you're going to wonder, what is that CEO really looking to put forward about their company and their products? Are you just a hit it and quit it kind of company that I only want to sell you my products. In today's marketplace, even if you like in today's world with all of the socials and all of the things and everybody having so much access to you,
Yeah.
regardless of whether or not you want them to have it, there's traditionally got to be something deeper, something
Mm.
more than superficial. And that is the sales portion of any business. We're the non-superficial part of a business, if that makes sense. I mean, if we're not going into like the human resources, employees portion, if we're talking about operations, admin, sales, marketing, finance, these kinds
Yeah.
of things, it's a
Yeah.
very non-superficial transaction. Although, to your point, product and service-based selling is different.
Mm.
If I if I have an amazing marketing company for a product, I can sell a lot of it.
Mm.
If I have a marketing company for a service-based business, which are traditionally higher dollar value asks, it's going to be a lot of weight on that marketing department
Mm.
because there's a lot more intricacies involved in service than there are in
Yeah.
products.
And in that case, there may well be the requirement for a lot more touch points with the prospective customer because it might be almost like peeling away the onion to figure out what is the real customized solution for that particular organization because not all services are going to fit all customers. Even though we might think,
Absolutely.
hey, we've done our ideal customer profile analysis, we've got our service offering, we've got all the bells and whistles, and we just go and offer it to the marketplace. No, not everyone's going to be thinking the same way as you.
Absolutely. Now, so what we're also talking about is like an entrepreneurial journey,
Mm,
right? So in the beginning, you're not going to have those answers. You create your service and you need to customize it a lot. But
yeah,
now you've been in business for 3 years. You've done a bank of business. You can say for sure, I mean, depending on how many people you're running through your firm and depending on what your top dollar revenue is, right? Your
yeah,
gross revenue is, you now have answers of your ICP to say, this is what we want. This is what we want. We've honed in on this for you. So now you can actually zhuzh your service offering to
mm,
offer it to the many instead of customize for the many,
yeah.
which becomes more efficient.
I love that. I love that. So let's talk then for people listening to this, and they might be in a small business, they might even be in a big business, but they're wanting to think about how do I truly differentiate myself? How do I work closer with our friends in marketing? What are some things that you work in that helps bring, I guess, the narrative closer together so that whether it's this marketing person putting out collateral on all the socials or whatever fixed media they've got, or and the salesperson going to have conversations, that the messaging is consistent. Because what I see is a lot of inconsistent messages, and a lot of that sometimes comes down to lack of training for our salespeople because all they're trained on is our service or our product, not how to deal with humans.
Right, which is a challenge. So for if you all heard Darren, please hear Darren. If you're hiring salespeople who don't have a human skill set, then don't hire them as salespeople or have an amazing training program for them to get comfortable with humans. And this is more of a real conversation today than it has ever been. When you think of the younger generation having so much less touch in the human
Mm,
world than they do with tech
mm,
depending on where they're from, right?
yeah,
I mean, think about how they learn since COVID. Do you know, like, they didn't have teachers for years. It's all computers. And
yeah,
how does that affect their ability to be able to get in front of you and connect with you?
mm,
So, hear Darren when he says, train your salespeople on humans. Because at the end of the day, bots don't buy,
no,
right? It's not bots who buy. So even though AI is this amazing tool and it has the ability to put things forward for humans, humans are where it's at if you want to
mm,
continue to generate zeros for your business,
yeah,
especially when you're starting. And I would say even when you're in the middle. Um, so one of the biggest discrepancies, or here's a hack. This is what I would give if you're big, if you're small, if you're in the middle. I don't want your marketing people to sit around a table brainstorming ideas and having it all be through the company profile. I want you to have your salespeople introduce their best relationships to the marketing people.
mm,
And I want you to put on an amazing day for them that says, thank you so much for all of your service. It's been fantastic working with you. We can't wait to do it for the next 20 years. That's phenomenal. We're going to wine you, dine you, and then we're going to ask you a ton of questions about no, really, why us?
Yeah.
Because there's a discrepancy between only the filter of through a company profile and what your clients actually think. The language that they use to tell you that they love you, why they really love you. And it could be something that you didn't even think of, right? It could be they love your customer service people.
Yeah.
Well, why?
Yeah.
Why do they love them? Is it because of an SOP that you put in place, or is it really just Judy because she's been there for 30 years and she knows it all? Everybody loves Judy, right? So, but you want to hear it from your clients. And this is true when you're first starting out. When you're a startup, you can't do this.
Yeah.
You don't have clients. You have an idea of a client.
Mm.
You have somebody that you met at a networking event and you thought, oh, that's my perfect client. What the challenge with that is that they don't know that you think that, and they aren't saying that that's true or not,
That's it.
right?
That's it.
I had a client who worked with me for years. Lovely, lovely woman. She ate raw vegetables. This is a woman who was all into green and raw foods. She's gorgeous. She's a grandmother. She's 70. Uh, she fought cancer in an unconventional, non-Western medicine kind of way. And after years of working with her, over a head of cauliflower. I was starving for cauliflower and we were eating it like a season's 52, which here in America will give you fresh vegetables. So over a head of cauliflower, which I was so starving for, she said, Katie, see exactly, you're my target client. Why have you never done business with me?
Yeah.
And I think I might have almost spit out my cauliflower on her. And I thought, and I told her, I said, you don't want me as your target client? I said, I'm eating cauliflower right now, but on a Friday night, you might find me tequila back and like, what are you talking about?
And
Like,
chicken wings.
right? Like, right? Like you think about, I'm this cauliflower right now, but I'm also a whole other thing. And
Yeah.
you've seen all of that. Are you sure? Why do you think I'm your target market? So, always ask when your clients come in. Everybody says testimonials make the best marketing.
Yeah.
And that's really true. And I don't mean just the testimonial. What would it look like if your marketing team got to actually debrief with your clients?
Mm. Mm.
What kind of language could be created
Yeah.
that you never had thought about before? And how validating for your sales team. You want to talk about getting your sales team and your marketing closer together. Now they're really singing from the same sheet of music.
Yeah. Yeah. It's phenomenal when you, as you're talking there, a lot of organizations will always do or often do a loss review when they lose a customer or when they lose a bid or they lose a tender. But very rarely do they do a complete win review in terms of what was it about our offering, what was it about our company, what was it about our offering, our solution that prompted you to say yes, but equally why you keep staying with us. I
Yes.
reckon it's a
So
lost opportunity.
that's absolutely or not a lost one that has recently been found. Let's reframe that. You have now, anybody listening has now found the opportunity to, you know, 100% understand why you acquired that client. Let them know that your goal is 100% retention in your company
Mm,
and or whatever your stats are, because please don't let them be 100%. You want to
no,
let some of them go.
yeah,
Uh, and then, but why do you come back? So when we're
mm,
talking about customer appreciation events, this should be part and parcel of that,
mm,
right? Who stayed with us for 2 years? Who's been our client for 5 years? They should win awards, right? Why wouldn't
absolutely.
they?
Absolutely. And it's not and it doesn't have to cost a lot.
Oh my
It's not
gosh,
it's
no.
not it's not like giving more discounts or anything like that. But what it can do is it can actually deepen the connection, the relationship, which makes it really difficult for others to come in and break that relationship because they haven't built that intimacy with their customer. All they've got is really price or features, and that's what their angle's going to be.
And great. I mean, everybody runs a different kind of company. So some can be price-based, I guess. I don't work in a space any longer where things are price-based. I have had that job though, right?
Mm,
As a boots on the ground salesperson for an office supply company, you would think that what you do is say, oh, yeah, 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 I know you can go to Staples, this big box store, but we're local, we're woman owned, and we can cut you a deal here, here, and here. But is that how you would ever want to start a relationship, even if it's true? Do you
Yeah.
want to go straight to bottom line? Like, what are you worth? What's the
Yeah.
company's worth?
Yeah.
You know, is price ever the thing,
Mm,
even in a product sale that we really want to go with?
yeah.
And I recognize that I say that in a time and space in the world where money fear is a thing.
Yeah, it is, and there's a lot of macroeconomic issues that are creating fear in a lot of people, but also a lot of businesses that they're looking at, well, are we going to continue to invest? But it's the ones that can see the longer term and have the courage to see through this who ultimately are going to come out the other side because the law of polarity says what comes up must come down, what is down must come up. So let's just ride the wave. But it takes
I,
courage.
sure, absolutely. Um, and I would have all of them go to their portfolio and figure out which one of their stocks has made them the most money
Yeah,
over, over 1 year, over 10 years, over
yeah,
15 years.
yeah.
What would it feel like for your client to have a plaque on their wall that said 15-year partnership with you?
Mm,
Like, doesn't that feel so good?
yeah.
And then the next recently graduated college student who comes in that's their sales team sits in that office and wants to sell them something and looks up at the wall and is like, "Eh." Like, what are they going to say?
Hang on, who's that?
I could swear that's my competition. Why do you guys have a plaque on the wall with my competition? Like what? I wasn't aware we gave out plaques. Is that something my company does? Why is that there? Because when you have a tenured relationship with any of your clients, it does breed, you used a great word, intimacy, which
Mm,
we don't talk about in business relationships.
yeah,
So it's true partnership. It's
yeah.
my job as a vendor of yours to continue to have your best interests in mind based on what I provide.
So with that, love to delve into this concept of growth, but also linking in the niching or the ideal customer profile, and a third component, which is yeah.
Should I be writing
Yeah.
this down? Hold on.
Nah,
We've got,
you're up for a challenge. You're up for a
okay.
challenge because it's a really important conversation. There's a lot of businesses, whether they're big corporate, big behemoth, small medium enterprises, but also entrepreneurial, that they want the results now. So they've got pressure either from their boards, the senior managers, maybe the capital providers, partners, whatever, to get results now, right? So growth could be hyper, quick, could be more managed, but let's just talk about the importance of understanding who my market is, who my ideal customer profile is, what's my growth strategy, and I guess managing is the term I want to use. Managing the expectations around long-term profitable growth versus short-term immediate numbers. Because
I'm, you think it's what?
I think it's a very, well, it's a topic, for want of a better term, it's a cliche, a topical topic. But it's interesting that it's been around. I've been in business, corporate for 20 plus years, and it was the same in 1997 as it is in 2025. So nothing's changed. But what I tend to say to businesses is, okay, you've got to have a short-term tactical plan to start, build momentum, but you've also got to have a long-term strategic plan to build what we've just spoken about in terms of the intimacy, so we can again get to the position where we've got a plaque on the wall with a strategic partnership that's recognized.
Wonderful. So let me quiz you down, Mr. Mitchell. Um, do the people that are putting forward these goals for growth, either short term or long term, have any idea what their actual sales life cycle is? Like, are we paying attention? And look, for those of you who are in big corporate, I'm sure there's one person whose job it is to read all of the reports and put together all of the data to say, yes, Katie, we are looking at this. From day one, when marketing gets a completely cold lead, it takes X, Y, and Z for them to get to the prospect portion of a sales funnel. So, one, I think education in regards to where sales and marketing meet, right? So there's a funnel on top of a funnel.
Yeah.
Marketing is a whole funnel in and of itself. I'm not asking about the marketing funnel people. I'm asking about the sales funnel because your salespeople are getting both qualified and unqualified leads of all temperatures, right?
Yeah.
We're getting warm unqualified leads. We're getting warm qualified leads. We're getting cold prospects, period, like cold calls, like nobody's business. And we're getting
Mm.
cold people who know me. Because here's the part that is really hard to manage in terms of data and statistics. And look, if you don't know your sales life cycle, go to the mattresses. No, go to your books and just go find out how long does it take you to traditionally land a client.
Mm.
If you're a small business, you've shaken hands with someone at a networking event and now they're a client of yours, how long did that take? What did that look like? Start paying attention.
Yeah.
That is gold. For larger businesses, it gets a little bit more intricate, and they have the wherewithal to be able to take a look at these things because it would be really interesting to know how a prospect who went entirely through the marketing funnel still came to a salesperson as a cold lead,
Mm.
right?
Interesting.
Versus a, a client that's ready to buy.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know that statistic and that statistic alone and
Mm.
what took them, what did it take to get them from one place to another? Because for as much as marketing can qualify your ideal client profile, ask all of the top line questions, what they're missing is context of each buyer.
Yes.
This is what, when we're talking about the relationship,
Mm.
I love it when marketing can come to me and say, Katie, here's these 20 questions. They all say yes. This person's ready to go for you. And I
Yeah.
say, thank you very much. And then I go do it all over again.
Yeah.
I requalify the answers that they gave. And here's the thing, even so, I've been selling before there was so many amazing advancements in marketing, right? So this is the other place where you see the differences. If you are a salesperson or a company that has a little bit that's a little longer in the tooth, I say that for me too. You're still trying to figure out my birthday. Good luck. Um, you know, this is I get this. This is old school sales. It didn't used to be marketing's job to qualify for
No.
anything. They would put an ad out, it would be super sexy, and people either would or wouldn't be attracted to your company and the things that you sold.
Mm.
And it would be my job entirely to figure out where they were in their mindset and whether or not they were ready to hit a buy button. There were no
Yeah.
buy buttons. They'd actually have to sign, a paper receipt that had three different colors, white, pink, and yellow,
That's it.
from way back in the day. Um, but but we still have to, those conversations still have to be had today
Mm.
because it's truly a lost deal if we don't. If I can get a lead, requalify them, and they're all still yeses, then now I know I have a warm lead. I've got
Mm.
the leverage to be able to present to them in a way that I know that when I ask if they want to do business with me, they're going to say yes.
Yeah.
Don't forget, sales is the house part of the casino. Sales is the house. We're looking to
Mm.
get all the leverage. We should have all the leverage. We have all the answers you need, sir. I have in my ability, just me alone, I have it available for you to get what you need. I
Mm.
am your gatekeeper to what you need. So do you want to make this deal happen or not?
Mm.
In the nicest way.
Yeah.
So that is really a statistic that will help in, is this just going to be immediate growth that's going to be a flash in the pan, or does this have the ability to be more long term and they get their plaque at the end of the day?
Mm.
I think that's something that we can look at that would benefit all companies. Um, I think more to the point, what I would want to talk about is who feels the immediacy, whether it's of the long-term plan or the short-term plan, and that's actually the salesperson. So whether or not you're the entrepreneur and sales is your bag, like you're still the one who's having to do the sales, or that's what your choice is, or whether it's an individual on a sales team, sales is the where it stops. The buck stops here. The buck stops at
Mm.
sales. We're the ones who feel the immediacy. So if you are a firm that's been going through salespeople right and left, and you just can't figure out why you have this burn, it could be because of this. Are you being realistic with your asks?
Mm.
No offense to all management known to man. All companies need to make money. to
Yeah.
breathe, right? To live. The only thing a company eats is money. We all get that.
Yeah.
And it's not any individual salesperson, except for maybe the business owner's job to make sure that that money's coming in. If I just got to your firm, please don't give me an unrealistic sales goal.
Mm.
All I want to do is be good for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
please set me up for success. So there's a lot of how am I setting my salespeople up for success conversations that I would want people to have. Although I would tell you, Darren, I feel a shift. I feel a shift. I also do corporate trainings, and the conversations that I've had over the course of 2025 are, Katie, I love my sales team. So we're having you come in not to give them like the foundational training, but like more perspective on how to hone, how to be efficient, because my team is really great.
Yeah.
So I think people are getting the memo.
Well, I think that's why it brings me to another point where the sales leaders, whether it be the chief sales officer, chief revenue officer, or even the sales directors, frontline sales managers need to be more involved, not so much in the sales process, but working with the sales team so that they understand exactly where the sale is happening, not in their necessary sales cycle, but in the buying cycle. So do
Yes.
we have we done the analysis to take a marketing qualified lead, as you referred to, into a sales qualified lead where we're close to, or we have some runway as to when we think this customer is ready to make an educated buying decision. And so if you've got the relationship between the senior leaders and the sales teams, then that breeds an environment where we've got some flexibility, we've got some understanding that sales does take time, and we can be on the same page. Now, that's not to say we still don't have a sense of urgency because we have to deliver the number, but you
Well,
also
and
have
let's
to have
be
a sense
clear,
of
as a
patience.
salesperson, I need the check, right? So depending on how I'm structured as your salesperson, nobody is more incentivized than me,
Yeah.
sir, right? I've got to pay my mortgage.
Mm,
So you don't need to incentivize me too much more. What you need to do is understand where I'm at and educate me better so that
mm,
I can make deals faster. And to some extent, please, selling in one space does not necessarily convert to selling in another space at the same rate. So if you
mm.
buy a senior salesperson, they're still going to need time to understand your company, like where are they, you know, while I'm not going to tell you how old I am, I will tell you that in the career of sales, I would be considered senior. How's that for you? I've been doing this for 30 years, right? I've sold paper clips, huge loss leader, paper clips. And I've been a part of a team who put forward a proposal and sold our services for $150 million contracts, right? Just for the shot to be able to go bid on things under
Yeah.
that umbrella. So what everybody needs time and absorption because I come with my own brand. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm a whole thing, as is Darren, as is every sales leader that you want. We're
Mm,
very aware of who we are. We're very aware of why we're good at what we do. And what we're looking for is what the company that we work for brings to that so that it can go through us to the client,
mm.
right? We amplify something amazing about the company because that's what we sell. And it'll look a little different for everybody.
Yeah.
So give us all of that.
Mm.
Give me your least favorite things. Do you know I've sold the least favorite things? You can sell anything as long as you know who's in front of you and what they're looking for. Again, back to relationship,
Back
which you
to
won't,
relationships. Yeah.
right, which you won't find out unless you actually go through the sales life cycle, not the marketing life cycle.
That's it. That's it. And the other part I wanted to ask you in terms of that is the pressure either implied or directly applied from the senior leader or the sales leader to close everything. Right. So
Mm.
I talk a lot about, as a good salesperson, you need to develop the capability to disassociate from the outcome because the outcome will be the outcome. If you don't make a sale today, it just means the customer's not in the buying cycle to make an educated buying decision. You then have to nurture that to the point where when they are ready, you become top of mind, which means you've got to think very carefully about what's your nurturing campaign. So whether it be working in corporate or working with the clients that you do, how easy or difficult is it to have that conversation where, hey, we need to sell, we need to drive our bottom line, we need to drive our top line, but at the same time, you need to disassociate from any pressure of having to close at every, because you don't have the desperation commission breath coming
Ugh,
across.
what a better way to say that. And still, ugh. Um, but we all know what that is, right? Like, ew, like oh yeah, I know that guy. Uh, ugh, but now I gotta go take a shower. So haven't had that for ages. So when you're in startup, so for the small business clients that I work with, what I tell them is the clients you have in your first year of business are not the clients you have in your second year of business, or not the clients you're going to have in your third year of business. And this is actually true throughout the entirety of the lifespan of your business,
Mm,
or or any product line that you're delivering on, or any service offering that you're delivering on.
yeah,
So if it's a new service offering, take the deal and learn from there, right? This is your tactical, like scoop them all, scoop them up, scoop them up, scoop them all up. You want to make sure that they fit within a certain parameter. Let's hope it's a good 85 to 90% parameter. If it has to be a little bit, if it's a 75% fit, you'll learn a lot,
mm,
right? But know that. Like, know that that's what you're selling. Know that this isn't a perfect fit. Know that they may want things, like you heard that they want things that you may not be delivering. You have the ability to set the expectation then, or take the money and then create it on the back end, depending on your business,
yeah,
depending on how nimble you are. In terms of disassociation, um, I only work with purpose-driven entrepreneurs, which means that while yes, they all have to pay mortgages, preferably with the money that they generate through their business, as does every, right? That it will always be people over profit. So there's a little bit of a gap
mm,
in that, like, beat yourself up, flagellate yourself, bleed ribbons daily until you get it right, that we have on the corporate sales side.
yeah.
Um, so what I would say to those businesses, if you have a team like that, like think about inserting some purpose. It would give a lot of breathability and buyability to your company
Mm,
culture, and ultimately to what you deliver to your clients. If that's not your bag or isn't required for you to make profit, just know that you're probably burning out people, including you have more stress in your life than you really need to.
mm,
Um, at the end of the day, dollars aren't personal. Nothing is personal. The thing that you said, Darren, that I really want to hone in on really quick is what you said is they're just not ready to make an educated decision today. So you have
yeah,
to continue to develop a relationship with them. And throughout the relationship development, which involves a lot of requalifying that same exact individual to see
yeah.
if they've risen to the level of really needing what you have or becoming educated enough to buy from you, you may, as a salesperson, recognize that they are no longer what you thought of as your ICP.
That's it.
And that goes so untalked about. Not every ICP is your buyer. And there's a reason for that. And as a salesperson, we're like the last stopgap between you getting a quality customer and you getting that customer that literally blows up your entire customer service 800 line. Like, are you going to come to me if you, as senior salespeople that are in charge of me, are you going to come at me when I make that deal and say, why would you ever have made that deal? If you are, please don't come at me with urgency
Yeah.
because I'm trying desperately not to have that client. I don't want my clients to leave after 6 months. Neither do you.
Mm,
Then it's more
mm.
time to recreate them. CEOs think that they want every ICP, but they really, really don't. They only want the ones that are a good fit. And your sales team is the one to tell you that.
And I think just off the back of that, one of the things we can use to drive really deep credibility is when you actually have the custom conversation with a customer and let them know that, hey, you don't fit our ideal customer profile. Um, it's not something that we think we should do business with you, but let me recommend you to this organization, or let me recommend to this person who will be a better fit for you. That can actually pay dividends exponentially when you least expect it.
all day, every day, twice on Sunday. So, absolutely, the best salespeople are also the best resources because, not only are we going to be just honest, right? Like, I don't want to tell anybody they're not my ideal client profile. One, I'm missing out on that money, right? Like, that's not what I really want to do. I really want to serve you. I really want to
Yeah.
fix your problems. So, not only am I going to tell you that maybe I'm not the right fit for you, I'm going to tell you why because that gives you, as the buyer, agency to decide if you want to do anything about that.
Mm.
Like if you love me and it turns out this is why you can't work with me, maybe you fix it. But I'm also going to say, and that means because of where you are, here are these top three people.
Yeah.
I've worked with them, I know them. I didn't just meet them on a Zoom
Yeah.
once and they said they did this, but I know these people, I know how they deliver. And I think that you would be able to get a little bit further in what you're looking to get to if you work with them instead.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And then you know what it is? It's followed up with, so hey, how'd that work?
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you? I heard from Joey, who I introduced you to, that you haven't called him back. What's going on with that?
What's going on? Because it's your credibility that's been put on the line, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah,
The only thing salespeople have is their name, the
that's it.
quality of their name. All I have is the integrity
Mm,
of my name. So
that's
don't
it.
think I'm going to be putting my name on you. Right? So when you're being a resource, do what you do as a salesperson if you were onboarding someone. Set the
Yeah.
expectation.
Mm,
So, hey, you like Joey, best fantastic. I'll send you everybody's information, but I'll make a personal introduction to you and Joey. Now, traditionally, just to let you know, Joey responds really, really quickly. So, are you able to take his call within 24 hours?
yeah.
Because we're looking to get on his schedule. Have everything that you do as a salesperson be wildly consistent.
Mm.
It means so much and will grow your own personal brand of amazing sales leader exponentially.
And to use the word that John Maxwell uses quite often, consistency compounds.
Best kind of interest there is,
Oh,
man.
it's
People,
yeah,
small business owners talk about, everybody talks about how they want to make money when they sleep.
yeah,
This is how you do it
yeah,
through compounded interest like that.
yeah.
That's the most passive money you'll ever make.
Love it, love it. So Katie, I love this conversation. Looking forward, so we're coming at the back end of 2025. There's been a lot of changes. There's a lot of macroeconomic challenges that a lot of countries are facing, a lot of businesses are facing. I know there's been a lot of layoffs. With that creates opportunity. In the work that you do at Sales Uprising, working with the entrepreneurs and small businesses and so forth, and I know you do a bit of corporate stuff. Looking into 2026, and I know you're soon to be a published author, which with a book coming out early in the 2026. Put on your Nostradamus glasses. I know you've got some pretty fancy glasses you're wearing right now. How do you see 2026 and beyond? What are some of the challenges that we need as business owners to grapple with, but also what are some of the opportunities that we should be excited about?
Oh, I so love this question. Um, So, for those of you that are entrepreneurial or business owners that are like throw caution to the wind, I kind of think that's going to pay off for you. Uh, if you've already got some momentum, then don't expect that your momentum is going to stay the same in 2026, but keep using it to propel you through to 2027, like right and forward. For the smaller businesses, now is one of those crucibles. We're going to be in another crucible. The good news is we should recognize this. We just went through a crucible where macroeconomics and the entire world shifted through the pandemic,
Hmm.
right? So we're not so far off from some amazing lessons that we learned. So if you're a business that went through that and now you're going through this, remember what got you through that period of time. It probably looked a lot like doubling down on innovation, whatever innovation means for you. And it's going to take more energy than normal than in a it's an outlier of a year or
Yeah.
knock on wood, let's hope it's an outlier of a year. I'm an entrepreneur, we're wildly known for being hopeful. Ultimately, the reason why I say it's an outlier is because the pendulum will swing as it always does. It's a law of science.
Yeah.
What did you call it? The law of polarity,
Polarity.
right? What goes up goes down, what goes down goes up. This is just facts.
Yeah.
So we're probably at what I would consider like the apex of a down. There's probably going to be a little bit of carryover next year. The entrepreneurs and CEOs who can lean in, trust, and choose, like you have to decide, you guys.
Mm,
There's no longer a whole lot of time to waver.
mm,
As you waver, your business is losing money. Your business is starving itself. So say yes to something and go in that direction. And if you can, you'll be able to work it out, is
yeah.
really what I would give people. So the most hopeful of the thing, be your, this is a time for everybody, even Fortune 500s, to be in a bootstrap mindset,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And back yourself, have courage and, put yourself out there unashamedly, but with ethics and with integrity.
I mean, that's a part of your brand, right?
Yeah.
Like you do what you
Absolutely.
say. I went to work for a company that says, name of company, we do what we say. I literally went to go work for a company whose tagline was that because it speaks to me.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So just believe in yourself. You can do it.
Love it. Love it. Hey, Katie, love the conversation. And I know it's late, well, getting into the late evening for you in Virginia, nearly dinner time. For people who are listening to this, who would like to connect with you, understand what you do, and maybe get an early understanding of when the book's coming out, that they can grab a copy of that, where's the best place for them to connect?
LinkedIn is great. Katie
Okay.
Nelson, the sales catalyst. I'm also uh, at Sales Uprising. You can connect with the company. You'll make sure that you get all of the information you need there. I, of course, have a YouTube channel that has all of my fun podcast guesting. So if you want to hear more about me, but if you really want to know about the book, just send me an email, Katie at salesuprising.com. I would be happy to make sure that you are on the list. Um, It'll be great. I'd love to connect.
Awesome. Brilliant. I'll put all that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. If there was one final lasting piece of wisdom you'd like to leave the listeners that might help them as we back into 25 into 26, what would that be?
For this particular period of time, if you are a CEO, senior sales leader, entrepreneur, business owner who's the number one salesperson in your business, what I'm going to tell all of us is give ourselves some grace.
Yeah.
We don't have the answers. This, the world is nutty right now. I don't think that we've ever seen such a culmination of things crashing into each other and around each other. And what that does is create opportunity. So for those of us that stay well rested, stay positive, right? What you think about, you bring about. So give
Mm,
yourself grace and be positive.
love it. Love it. Great way to finish. Katie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Look forward to reading the book when it comes out. And thanks once again for being such a great guest on the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast.
It was my absolute pleasure, Darren, and I'm going to hold you to it. When I start that podcast, you're going to be the very first guest, right?
Oh, hallelujah. Love it. Look forward to it. Thank you for listening to the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast. I trust the information in this episode has been helpful in your journey towards becoming exceptional. And remember, please take the time to rate the show, subscribe to the show so other people can find it. But also, if I can help you, jump on my calendar, go to leadwithdarren.com and let's have a conversation about how I can help you along your journey to being exceptional.